Hey everybody, welcome to Anti-Ruggers United. Today we have an AMA with Fleetwood. So let's get started by having you guys introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your history, about your background, your experience in the real world in crypto, like how you guys got together, give us the inside scoop and we'll go from there.
Angel, you are muted.
Sorry. Yeah. Well, let's start. We'll start with you, Villa. So, and then we'll get into the about me and so on.
Okay. Hey guys, my name is Ville Ruhanen, known as Ragnarok in my own project, Mr. Shields. I basically run a marketing agency with our own token, and well, of course, we are not here to showcase that. We are here to showcase Fleetwood. So, how me and Angel met? We met like 7 months ago. Angel approached me basically as a client, as a potential client, but quite quickly we became first friends, then we became very good friends, and now we are business partners in this. So yeah, it's been an enjoyable ride. Like I have had the pleasure of following Fleetwood since the very conception stage. Like everything that happens, I get to follow, and it's quite an interesting thing for a simple marketer like me to really be, because I have always been a gamer myself also. So yesterday we did, what was it, Angel? Rigging?
Oh yeah, for the characters.
Yeah, for the characters. Yep. It was amazing, amazing to follow when professionals work. But yeah, basically I've done marketing in Mr. Shields for almost a year now, and we have our own VIP group that got the first look into Fleetwood. Angel has been in the VIP group since almost when we started working together. So yeah, it's been quite amazing. I still can't believe we are at this stage, and maybe in a year I still can't believe it. But yeah, but I'm not the interesting character here. I'm the least talkative one out of us two. So yeah, Angel, you can have the stage.
Okay. No, yeah, like Villa said, we've been working together for quite a while now, and yeah, I mean, when you're having fun, time flies, even in the crypto space. Actually, probably especially in the crypto space. So about me, so my name is Angel. I'm a game developer, so a little bit of background about me. So before I get into my experience and everything else, I'm 27. I am married. I have a kid. So outside of development and outside of everything else, I have more of a family life, a leader, family man myself. So for my experience in my game development experience, so I studied games programming when I was in university, which actually was I graduated in 2017. But even though I was studying games programming, I've always been fascinated by utilizing game technology to bring in like many elements to get together, not just using it for games, but really pushing that technology further to utilize it in many different aspects. Because when you think about games and when you think about engines, it's basically you have the rendering component of it and you have the most power that you can get in terms of what you can show, what you can render out. And then you obviously have the logical side of it, the programming and all of that, which is my forte, shall we say. So even back when I was at university for my for my dissertation, lost my words. Even back then, I was combining a bunch of quirky stuff. I was working in Unreal all the way back then, and I was actually trying to combine neural network within Unreal. And this was back, when the sources for Unreal and everything else were quite scarce because, the documentation was very, very loose. There was no YouTube tutorials, like a plateau of them like you can find now. The documentation wasn't there, and the marketplace was pretty dead. But it was a really great experience for me because it kind of taught me, allowed me to combine psychology and games, and also combine a very high level of mathematical formulas and basically structures, both from how it's going to work, both from how the brain's going to work, or how you're going to make it fit all in. But I won't, I won't go too much more detail into that. So for my career experience, Before I actually left university, I already had a little bit of experience in the industry, but ironically enough in the software industry, because in the UK you do like this thing where it's a gap year. You study for 3 years, you work for 1 year, and I worked in the Silicon Valley as a software engineer for a year, and actually that's what allowed me to learn other aspects outside of gaming and really showed me how much I need to grow, and it really motivated me to actually do that thing I did for my dissertation later on. After I graduated, I worked for a game studio for a year and a bit, and within that single year, I actually went from junior all the way into a lead programmer in less than a year and a half, I think. And then even though it was relatively a small studio, it wasn't like hundreds of people or anything as such, but that also allowed me to put a lot of experience under my belt, working on everything from survival games to combat games to some platform VR to even doing some VR training for hydro engineers, so they can alleviate the training and remove the risk of repairing power plants and being able to see all these red flags that you would as you're an engineer, and then we remove the risk aspect of it. I also worked on other things like all types of hardware, from PlayStation to Nintendo Switch, and even had a bit of a nightmare-share experience where I had to port a PlayStation 4 game to a Nintendo 64. I mean, I won't get into that, but that's like going from trying to fill this. If we fill this room up with content and then trying to squeeze in a little box, like that's the the equivalent of difference in power between the devices. Anyhow, after that, I started my own company. As a contractor, I worked on a variety of stuff there. Again, doing a bit of games, but mostly really pushing further into this whole utilizing game technology in outside of just games. For example, I worked on a lot of augmented reality apps, ranging from pieces that are from marketing pieces to things that are of utility and anything in between. Like companion apps, for example, if you're going to an event and you want to have an augmented reality layout to go to just see the whole thing, navigate through it, or like a marketing piece where you would see Game of actually one of them was like one of the ones I can't mention, like one of them was like a Game of Thrones event, and you use your phone to scan like one of these props, and you see like a massive dragon appear or a neck cracking open. Did a bit of or companion apps, for example, we had like this was running into the fintech side as well, but like we had a couple of investor magazines, and you have an AR app on your phone where you can scan the magazine and get a bunch of more info, and maybe even the same info presented in a nicer way, like a chart coming out or whatever. Anyhow, worked on other fintech apps as well. Touched VR games there again, more VR experience in whatnot, and then even started working on the Oculus Quest when it came out back then, trying to move a PC VR game to the Quest. Did other small things, like for example, smaller phone projects. I even did some really crazy quirky things. Like recently, I worked with a company that was actually in theater, out of all things, because the COVID restriction, you couldn't really go out. So I was helping out on something that was quite far in production, so I didn't have as much touch on that. But basically, what they were doing is they were scanning the actors that were in the theater in real time, and then showing this Zoom presentation of the theater live, and that was really really fun. I mean, this is what I mean when I say taking game technology and just utilizing it in so many different aspects. After that, and I promise this is the last bit, and then we'll move on, because this, believe it or not, is still the nutshell version. After that, I worked as a technical director for a digital twins company, and that's where complexity really shot up. We're talking about because we had to take these massive machines. And when I say massive, I don't just mean in physical size. I mean they're just made up of so many intricate small components. I can't say exactly which clients they were for. If you check my LinkedIn and you follow the tree, you can see all the information there, but NDAs and whatnot, so I can't be too specific. But taking stuff like, for example, a massive power generator or an engine for a plane, and being able to break it down into its smaller components and actually make it run, because they're very, very, very big resource-wise. That's when we tapped into advanced AR, for example, like being able to take this massive thing and project it out, and I can be on the other side of the world, and I can start repairing it, and you can use augmented reality to start following me, so I don't have to fly to you to help you repair this engine that you've bought from unnamed company, from said company, sorry. And a lot of it, so it was training courses. There was a lot of other applications to it as well. I won't get too deep into it, but for example, like simulating the physics of something. So if I know what material it's made of, I know how much it oscillates, I know how much pressure it's under, I can simulate things of when it's going to be damaged or materials rust, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, I shouldn't say blah, but anyway. Yeah, so and it was a lot more in there, but I won't stay too much on that topic. But that allowed me to basically work on very complex things and many cross platforms and tap at the enterprise world, the VR, the AR, the training world, all of it at the same time. So yeah, that's kind of like in a nutshell about me.
Okay, awesome, nice introduction.
Thank you.
So let's get on to Fleetwood then. Is Fleetwood a registered company?
Yes, Fleetwood is a registered company. I'm fully doxed as well. So like if you go on the website, click on me, LinkedIn, you see all the information. You Google the Fleetwood company, you can see all of when it was incorporated, who owns what, share structures, yada, yada, you know, all the normal business stuff.
And are you located in California?
No, I'm because the show. No, I'm located. I didn't actually buy this from California from when I was in America. This is how old this thing is. But no, I am based in the UK.
Okay, so you moved to the UK.
No, I've lived. So originally, long story short, originally from Bulgaria, moved to the UK at a very young age with my family. And the American thing was only for a year because I did it. That's when I was doing that internship at the at Silicon Valley or at California for it. But no, I was only there for 1 year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I'm from California too, so I was just wondering. I'm actually,
fantastic!
I'm
Where?
close to Silicon Valley, about an hour away.
Oh, are you in Santa Clara?
No, I mean it's more than an hour. It's in the Sacramento area.
Oh, okay, nice. I've been there as well, and I gotta say, man, like when I was in America, one thing I learned the hard way, you know, in the UK, when we say summit's around the corner, it means you're gonna go there and walk. And when you say in America, summit's around the corner, it ain't walking distance. I learned that the hard way.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's definitely spread out. You definitely need a car. Unlike some of the cities in Europe, just take public transportation or walk around. Everything's so closely packed.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I learned that the hard way, and it was very different, but it was also really cool to see the culture difference. And just, yeah, it was a really nice experience, to be quite frank. I even got a motorbike really easily, which was really nice. Not so road safe, but, you know, young and careless.
All right, awesome. Okay, let's get down to the introduction of the Fleetwood itself, the game, the token, all of that. So do you want to do you have like a elevator pitch type of presentation, anything like that? You want to start with?
Yes, I do have a whole presentation. Well, it's a presentation that I have on notes on, but unfortunately, I don't have a presentation. I'm going to screen share. I'm going to share bits of the website at different things, but yeah. So I do have like a format I'm going to go through, but unfortunately, I do not have like a setup presentation because it's going to be a very long presentation. But yeah. So if we force to jump into it, I'll share screen a little bit more in a second, but to begin with, before I even start talking about Fleetwood, I kind of want to cover the problem, or at least the market, the problem in the market, and kind of the issues I see, and the solutions that I think Fleetwood's going to bring. And once I cover those, then we can start bringing it into detail. That's kind of going to be the format of this pitch, I guess, or AMAs. Going to take it in steps, and every time I'm going to go deeper and deeper into detail, and everything I'll say is even expanded further on, or most of the aspects are on the website. So the problem. So a lot of lack of game. A lot of these crypto games, right? And we're calling them crypto games. They kind of lack the whole game aspect as a whole. I see a lot of these pay to earn as more so applications than games, because, you know, how do we define a game, right? You know, in a game, it can keep you there. You can have fun. There's a clear progression path, and that's really key progression. There's multiple layers to it. There's some are easy to get, some have a high learning curve, and some have a bit of both, where they're easy to begin with multiple layers, kind of like Fleetwood. There is so much complexity and diversity when it comes to games, and it's different from game to game, but we're not really seeing that in a lot of these crypto games. I can't say all, of course. There is, I'm sure there is a lot of exceptions, but yeah, that's one of the main issues I see. Now, further, because of that, if we just build upon it, yeah, what we can say, what we can, sorry, the way that we can summarize that is basically say that there's a simplistic game layer. So before we talk about tokenomics and before we talk about the ecosystem, we got to look at the game layer, because a lot of these projects kind of just blend the whole thing in together, and they do not have a clear separation, and that's one of the reasons they don't last long, because if there is no game, how is the economy on top of it going to work? So if you have a simplistic game layer, you cannot really create a complex ecosystem on top of it. You just left, and if you do not have a complex game layer, then what you're left with for rewarding people is chance and quantity. So you get more, you buy more, you get more out of it, or you get lucky on the rolls, on the drop rates, on the breeding, whatever. Is very dependent on chance, and it's very random. And random does not breed progression. So the quality of the game and the ecosystem, I won't get into the quality of the game. We've seen them, right? We've seen a lot of these games that have like pixel art, or they look like the Tomb Raider from 2003, or they straight up look like Roblox. Not that there's something wrong with Roblox, but not what we're going for. It discourages inflation, right? As well, by the nature that they build with. Crypto supposed to inflate. Right? Not supposed to inflate. The price of the coin is supposed to go up. The supply is supposed to go down. But that's kind of discouraging when it comes to the game, right? To the player base. We still, of course, want that token to go up. We want that NFT to go up. We want it to have the price to be driven by how the players feel about it. That's all fine, but by not systemizing that properly, you discourage all new players, and eventually your system dwindles down. What do I mean by that? I mean, like, let's take it Axie, or let's look at one of these other games. The game is popular, the player base is active, the price of these NFTs increase. It's becoming more and more popular. There's more people talking about it. Okay, now I am some person who wants maybe I'm from Europe, or maybe I'm from basically any other country that doesn't have a surplus of GDP, and I want to play this game. How am I going to play this game when I have to invest $3,000 to start? I'm using $3,000 as an example because that's like the ridiculousness that Axie got into just to get the base level characters back in last year, this time period last year when the whole boom was happening. So we do have a solution for that too, and I'll get into that in a second. And then finally, we have the gamer's view. So being in the game industry, and outside of just looking at how people in the crypto industry see games, I also see how gamers and how actual gamers, people who are not so much associated with crypto, they have a negative view of the whole pay to earn. And to be quite frank, you can't really blame them to have a negative view, right? Because from their perspective, how is this any different than loot boxes? How is this any different than skins? How is this any different than, like the FIFA cards where it's a random chance and you get extra? That for them, that's just more microtransactions. They don't see how it can benefit the player. And honestly, whilst obviously they can benefit them, a lot of these other projects don't make it clear and clearly don't prioritize them, so it's very discouraging for them. The second element is it's too complicated to start. It's too expensive to start sometimes, but also more importantly, it's too complicated to start. You're not a gamer, you don't know crypto, you got to go make a MetaMask. If that token of the game that you're trying to play, if you're lucky enough that it's on an exchange, but that's easy enough. You go from the exchange and you put it on your MetaMask wallet. You still got to learn how to do that. Or if it's not on an exchange or some kind of a DEX, you got to learn how to set that up, import the tokens, and do all of that. Then get it into your MetaMask wallet, and you have to take like 3 or 4 steps before you can even begin playing the game. So all of these things are very, very discouraging. However, every single one of these points I have mentioned, we will be fixing in Fleetwood, and I'm about to get into, and I'll explain how we're going to fix every point now, or at least what our solution is. Fix is relative. Okay, so before I jump into it, all of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about at the moment, I will split it in what is the game, then I'll split it into earning revenues, the ecosystem, and then you get a clear picture of how when the token comes out, all of that is going to play into it. The only unknown you're realistically going to have at the moment is what the token supply is, and that's directly going to be influenced by what we think our projected player base is going to be, and that's why we're taking everything one step at a time. So
I mean, a supply doesn't really matter. It just matters what the breakdown is, what the distribution is, because you can have a supply of 1 or a quadrillion. And at the end of the day, all it's going to do is depend. It's going to either have zeros in front of them price or behind the price. You know, that's what it just gonna change the price or the token itself. But other than
No,
that,
because the
no.
distribution on BCS is 10 to the power of 8. So if you have it 1, you can only go 8 dots backwards. The distribution will matter. You are right. Like it doesn't matter if we do 1,000 or if we do 2,000, but then that is directly going to be influenced by how many NFTs that we do as well. And I'll get to that in a second. But I do understand your point. But no, there is some numbers that you have to really take into consideration, especially when writing the contract as well. When you're calculating how many actions you're going to be taking per second too. All of that should really be, and then you have to decide, is that function going to be on the code? Is that function going to be on the contract? So there is a couple of things that a lot of people overlook, but they really are there. Like they really make a difference if you plan them at the beginning, or if you just kind of try and adjust for them afterwards when you've released information too early.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like especially with the decimals, of course, that matters a bit. But honestly, I prefer supplies of like 1 million, 1 billion, not like quadrillions, because then it's really hard to keep track of all that bullshit on the chart. Like how many zeros is that? It takes me a while to count.
I mean, anything above like 7, 8 zeros just gets really ridiculous, because you have 8 zeros and then back to the power of 8, not to the power of 8, but then 8 zeros, 10 to the power 8 afterwards, and that power depends on which chain you're using, right? How much you can split it down. So yeah, I completely agree with you. 1 trillion and 300 trillion and all of that just gets like, you know, what are you trying to do?
Yeah, it's hard for me to keep track if I'm in profit or not. Like I have to count the zeros. There's no commas on PooCoin charts. Makes it harder.
Exactly. Well, hopefully we won't be on PooCoin, but yeah, I completely agree. I mean, hopefully we won't stay on there, obviously, but you get my point. Okay, so a brief overview as well. So even though, like I said, I'll be splitting these in different segments, everything that I'll be talking about here is actually part of the hero section on the website. There's like 6 different tabs, and within one of the tabs, there's 4 or 5 different tabs on the hero section. Within one of them, there's 6 extra tabs, and then there's extra buttons to click to show even more info. So there's a lot of planning and a lot of thought behind Fleetwood. So it's a very layered ecosystem. And finally, before I get into that as well, when you do go on the site, all the videos are actually directly from UE5. They're not like they're not fakes or CGIs. They're just they're directly extracted from the engine, and they're the actual models you would be potentially playing. However, then all these models are actually being upgraded now, and some news about that in the NFTs. But anyhow, sorry, that was very long. Okay, so what makes us different? What are we trying to achieve? So we're trying to solve all those problems, and like I said, I'll get into them. But what we're trying to achieve is, outside of it being a pay to earn, it's a game. It's a game that you can enjoy. It's a game that you can actually enjoy. It's a game that you can have fun, and you can keeping you there. It can retain you, because there's so much more to discover. We're also trying to create an equality of opportunity within this market that we're creating. I don't mean equality of outcome. I just mean equality of opportunity. Like everyone has options of where they can start at different places, but regardless of where you start, you can build up to the end goal, or to the high goal, because there's really no end goal, to the highest point, without having to put extra money in if you don't want to. So, and we do that by a very simple way, which is one of the things that is on the website, is stable NFTs, right? So stable NFTs, what I'm just calling stable NFTs, basically are NFTs that, regardless of how high our token goes up, regardless of what of how high the highest ranking characters get up, the starting hero, your rank 1 hero, and I'll get into a second what ranks are and all of that, but your base hero, you're a selected handful of rank of builders and a selected handful of tier 1 harvesters. Those are 3 characters you need, and I'll break them down in a second. But those key assets, should we call them, those key game elements, game assets that you need to begin the game, you don't have to go and buy the most expensive one. You don't have to go and rent a character from someone else if you don't want to. You can just buy the stable NFTs that are going to be the set price, and then you can start climbing the ranks. You can start playing, and you can start increasing your earning revenues and your library and your asset list. And that's like one of the the main goals for Fleetwood is we really want to make this game open to a lot of people, not just people who have money, and we want it to benefit both investors and gamers. And we want to always, those who invest time as well as their money, but those who truly invest time improving their skill and spending time playing the game, those guys are going to be rewarded the most out of everyone. That's not to say that passive investors isn't a thing, or you can't just be an investor, and we'll get to that in a second. So, okay. So I guess that's kind of a brief overview before I jump into the selections. So before we, as I jump into, the different game modes and the different earning paths and everything else, to fully understand that, we kind of have to talk about the heroes first and their intrinsic value. The reason we talk about the heroes and intrinsic value first is because, unlike other NFT projects where your hero is just a flat layer amalgamation, and what I mean by flat layer amalgamation is you take like a horse and you have like a set, like a horse racing game, you have a set amount of breeds, and then you have a set amount of colors and all these kind of things, and then you mix them up and you generate 10,000 different kind of horses. All of those things are on the same layer, right? So there it is. You have a 2% chance of this happening, a 3% chance of this happening, a 10% chance of this happening, yada yada yada, and they just get all mangled up together, all mixed up together, and boom, there's your character. There is no character, there is no structure, there's just an amalgamation of properties, and that's what defines the character. But when you strip that, when you strip that out, you don't have like any more layers to it. It's all flat, it's all on the same layer. So for the intrinsic character of the there's a lot of things to the hero, but for the main things that we'll cover at the moment, and for more info, again, the site, the 4 things we're going to cover is your rank evolution, the hero level, and the variants. When I say variants, I just mean the different versions of a character, like the different unique NFTs of a character. That's variants. Sorry. In progression mode, yeah. The utility commercial. Sorry, just what the heck have I written here? Okay. So the core metrics, the cover economical, yeah. So the rank one character is obviously the lowest ranking character, and rank 4 character is the highest ranking character. A rank, and then each character has a level as well, and this is your progression level. Now that's not to be confused with the game level, as in the level that you are when you're in game. Your progression level or your hero level, I'm just going to stick with progression because this caused confusion in the past, is exactly what it sounds out. It's how far that character has progressed. Every time you play a game, you get experience, and that character's outside level progresses. So the rank evolution and your hero level are going to affect 2 things. Are going to affect a couple of things, not 2 things. Sorry. Depending if you're playing if you're playing PvE or PvP, the effects are different. But the gist of it is, the higher the rank, the higher the higher maps and the different maps you can take, the higher your rank goes, different maps you can participate in. When I say maps, I mean like because every game is a closed loop. You start the game runs through its course, it ends, you start a new game. Think League, think Dota, think Fortnite, think PUBG. That's what I'm kind of referring to. You start a new game, you do your shootouts, you do whatever the internal game loop is. The game loop finishes, you want to load up for another game with a friend, etc. When those games finishes, you get a bunch of experience. What kind of games you can enter, what kind of maps you can do, and what is your minimum and maximum reward is directly influenced by the rank of your character and its level. And so the higher rank you are, the higher your chances of better rewards. That's the rewards that you would get for completing this match. How the rewards are distributed, we'll get into afterwards in the earning values. But anyway, yeah. So afterwards, so your characters. Yeah, sorry. It says you play the different game modes, you have the better earning capabilities. Also, if you have a highest rank character at a rank 1 and a rank 10, the difficulty and also your capability there also changes. So the min and max is affected by the rank. Where you are on that min and max is affected by how far you are on the hero level. So the core match. Second of all, then we have the variants. So what are variants? So we have 3 types of variants. So let's just say we have a character. Let's just call him Bob. All right, we have Bob. Bob has his set amount of his core metrics, and core metrics are your stats. I'll get a little bit more details of those, but again, every single core metric is broken down. But your core metric is your rank, what type of rank evolution do you have, and oh, I forgot to mention rank evolution. Sorry. What type of rank evolution do you have? What classification do you have? And how are your stats broken down? All those kind of things. Okay. And then Bob there's going to be many versions of Bob. There's going to be a common version of Bob. There's going to be common versions of Bob. There's going to be rare versions of Bob, and there's going to be epic versions of Bob. And these versions is actually what we see. Then now finally we start doing the breakdown of all these different aspects that normal NFT does. After we've defined what Bob is, after we've defined all the value and the earning capabilities of Bob, the variants are purely the cosmeticsness, right? How good they look, how much detail there, how much extra weapon do they have? This cool unique weapon or this cool unique accessory, or some of them are going to have different VFX. That's what variants are. But Bob is defined by all of the other things that I mentioned, and the variants are purely cosmetic. So one, we have the core metric, which is the intrinsic value of the characters, their utility value, should I say, and an intrinsic value. And then the variants, we bring that element that we normally see in NFTs, where we have the supply of it, the rarity of it, and the emotional aspect of it. How cool do you think this look? How much do you relate to this? And also the time aspect to it. How much time did you have to grind to get that character, or if you bought it? But there's only other way you can buy it, and we'll get to that in a second. Forgot to mention the rank evolution. What a rank evolution is: some characters can progress through their ranks, they can evolve. How they evolve is 3 different types of evolution, but this is getting quite long, so just check that out on the website. Some have none, some have fusion, some have metamorphs. And as we already mentioned, we have the stable NFTs as well. Now, on to that variant thing, the time thing that I said. So the public NFT sale now is the only time you're going to be able to buy anything above a rank 1 character directly. You're going to be able to directly purchase it from Fleetwood and help, the progression towards Fleetwood, and that's why it's going to get them at different prices and set prices. And you buy them on these different platforms once the public NFT gets actually released. When the game is released, there's only 2 ways to get a character. You can grind in the game and unlock that character, or whatever variant you're going for, right? And different variants will take different difficulty to get. Or you can buy it from a player. You can't buy it from us or anything else. The only thing you can buy from Fleetwood is the stable NFTs once the game is out. Everything else gets circulated by the players, and the players set how much they think this is worth. First, you have the default scaling by the utility, because we know what their earning potential is. But then secondly, we have that emotional value, how cool does it look, how and everything else I mentioned. And finally, we have the time value. How long did this player take to get it? Did he really try? Did he grind to get it, or even if he didn't grind to get it, he knows how long it takes to get it. Maybe he was renting a different character and got it rewarded by someone else grinding. And we'll get to here renting in a second. So yeah, that's kind of like the characters and why they are the key to it. Now that we know about the characters, we can start building the rest of the game. We can start explaining the rest of the game, how you play, how you interact with these kind of systems, and what these kind of gameplays are. So we have there's 3 type of broad categories when we go to the official game modes. There's going to be PvE. For those who are not gamers, that means player versus environment, and that's a very loose definition. You can be versus the AI, you can be versus doing puzzles, whatever. It just means you're not fighting another player. That's all that means. Solo, where you just play on your own, and there you are limited by how much rewards and volume you can get, because you're just playing with no difficulty. You're just playing in the solo mode to kind of train or kind of like understand the game, get used to the mechanics and all that kind of thing. PvP and other custom modes, well, player versus player, you're playing against other players. And the most important thing to talk about in PvP is balancing. So I'm sure that those of you who are gamers will have a question straight away. Okay, so let's just say I bought a stable NFT, and this guy has a rank 4 NFT, which we already know is stronger, has better stats, has more power to it, right? Because obviously higher rank, higher stats, that whole minute max we discussed. How is that fair? Well, it wouldn't be fair if you're in the same match, but you're not going to be in the same match. So for PvE is a little bit who can play with who's a little bit different because you're playing against the AI and it's more about teamwork. And the reward system works different there too. We'll get to that in a second, but balancing is very important. If you have a rank 4 character, you're only going to play with other rank 4 characters and rank 3 characters that have like the highest level, right? But there's also other types of balancing. You know, you have the losing and the winning and the winning mechanic. You know, more details on that in a second. But on the topic of balancing, is if you are a rank 4 character and you beat someone who is a rank 3, even though their stats are very close to very close to you, close to you, it's very similar to it will work like the elo system, right? That you have in many games originally invented for chess. You have your skill ranking, and on top of having those things, the metrics, you also have the skill rankings along with the matchmaking. But most importantly, is you're always going to be around the same stats. And if you win versus someone with a disadvantage, you get far less reward, and the person who would have lost gets less of a penalty, if there is a penalty, depending on the mode. And if you win versus someone who's higher than you, then you obviously get more and the guy loses more on the other side. And if you're playing with someone who is exactly matched with you, then it's just, you know, the base value. If we just call the base value 1, and then you just scale off that in either direction, just to make sure that it's always balanced. But you'll never ever be at a point where you have a rank 1 character and you versus a rank 3 character or a rank 4 or even a rank 2 that's with a higher level. Never. Like your stats, the stat difference needs to be minute enough so it can be overcome with skill. And that's very important because you are investing time in this game. And by investing more time, you get better at this game. This is what I mean when I say on top of having utilitarian progression, you have progression in the terms of your own personal progression. You get better at the game. You get better equipment. Your equipment, better characters, better loadouts. That obviously increases your earning potential. The types of maps that you can play now increase your earning potential. But most importantly, the higher your skill, your earning potential, and even match. Let's keep moving on. Gets increased. Okay, and so yeah, the main thing is there that you never be screwed off from it. Your earning potential will never be decreased because of it. Finally, we have the possible character downscaling. There we go. Earning revenues. So how do you earn? So when you for these, oh yeah, sorry, before that, the game modes are capped. So the how much energy? Sorry, to play these modes, it requires energy. How much free energy you get a day? And the energy runs on our token. How much free energy you get on day depends on what your total progression is, how much you've progressed in the game. And secondly, not all game modes will cost energy. The solo does not cost energy. How much energy you lose or not lose or gain on wins purely depends on how far you are ahead and what kind of mode you're playing. So, earning avenues. Your earning avenues is if you invest time in your earning avenues. Obviously, you're earning through the game. When you play this game, you get rewarded when you win. How you get rewarded? Again, depending on which kind of game mode you're playing, and all of that depends your min-max reward. But also very importantly, when the reward comes out, and we use just PvE, for example, in this case, when the reward comes out, there's a couple of things that matter which part of the reward you get, how much you get allocated. You have a bunch of game stats internally that tell you, that basically indicate how well you performed, how well you did in the game compared to the other people on your team or against on your team. And you also have an honoring system where, let's just say, for example, if you didn't perform so well, but you were really trying there to help out your team, and people can see that you're really trying hard and they want to reward you, they give you honoring points, which then increases your chance to get something better within that box, within that reward box. But that reward box, everything inside it is set by the mode that you're going to be playing. It's the game stats and their honoring basically affect the distribution of those rewards. Outside of that, we have hero renting. So you can rent out heroes to other people. So, for example, you have a really nice, really cool hero. Someone can rent that hero out from you, and when the hero is rented out, the rewards are split between you and the person who owns the hero. the distribution of how those rewards are split will again be affected between the difference between you guys' accounts, between your progressions. But the exact numbers of how that's going to work, I'm still working out. But basically, the point of it is it's fair. So it doesn't necessarily have to always be 50-50. Creative universe. We have custom mode. We also have custom modes outside of the official mode, which is quite of a long section. So I guess I'll skip it this time. But what basically custom modes is, it allows you to create custom apps and modes that you can play with other people. So finally, we have progression and timeline. So we've done the seed round now, where we raised some seed money for the project, so we can start moving on to the next phase. Where this phase that we're currently on, when I was hiring some help working on the different aspects towards the public seed round, and what those different aspects are. Like, for example, we have the public NFTs sale that's coming out now. So that means that we had to create all of the pipelines to get those NFTs out, because unlike other projects, we're actually going to be taking the NFTs out directly from the engine. We model the actual characters that we want. We put them in the game. We rig them up. We get them properly set up so they're represent what they're actually going to look in the game. And then the variants we again randomize and create inside the games, and automatically export those out in a footage that can be recognized as an NFT. And that's what we're working towards at the moment. And for that public sale as well, we have an NFT tracking software that's going to also run automatically in the background. And what that essentially allows us to do is, originally we were going to have a unique code in each NFT that then allows you to unlock the actual game character, because the game characters, like I've mentioned, will run our own token. But since the token is not out, we're doing the initial public sales on stuff like Polygon and all these these other blockchains. We don't have gas fees, just because when you look at the market and you look at the coins that have the most mass adoption in sense of the NFT marketplaces, you get Polygon, you got your ETH and all of that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that when we get to the token release, when we get to the game release, that's the token that we want to build our token on top. Sorry, that's the blockchain we want to build our blockchain on top of. At the moment, our target is Binance to build the blockchain on top of, but always subject to change, because the market is moving very quickly, and it's all about using the token that offers you the most utility for what you're trying to build. We have some other things coming out, like website tools to see all the different characters when the NFTs are out. So you can see the characters, you can see all this information I'm describing on our website, and then you can go to wherever they're sold as NFTs. But just so you can see a lot more info, a lot more description about these characters, see them doing cool things, poses, whatever, without being limited by what the current marketplaces allow us to do. Ecosystems are being built around it and all of these kind of things, but long story short, the next thing is the public NFT sale. Whilst we're building all these pipelines I just described towards it. After that, we start doing a lot more in the ecosystems that surround the game, such as building the token directly into the engine, starting all of that development, deploying all the servers that we need to start building around it. And obviously, I feel like I'm talking for a very long time, so there's a lot there. There's a lot of ecosystems that we need to build as we build towards the game, because it's not just the game that's being released. There's all these things going. Well, it is a game, but all these things going around it. And the game is probably going to release sometime around 2023. And when the game is released, before the game releases, there will be an alpha stage for the game, so we can test basically everything, because there's going to be mass servers, mass players. We need to make sure everything can stay stable. There isn't any really bad bugs, because obviously the last thing you want in a pay-to-earn game is bugs. You don't want to get cheated out of your earnings because there's a bug. So it has to be rock solid, and we take it one step at a time. So yeah, that was a very long-winded, I guess, the presentation, but yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to cover.
All right, perfect. Time to go unleash some artillery here. Just joking. All right, so one thing I would like, you said the game's coming out in 2023, so how far along is the game currently?
So, as mentioned, the actual game development, the game is being developed, but there's being those pipelines being developed. The character pipelines, getting all of those set up, getting the movement, getting them moving across not moving across, getting them feeling how we needed to them, setting up all the components that we're going to be seeing for this kind of combat, setting all of that up properly, because how you design the breakdown of the characters and everything else is very important when you because it'll directly interact with both the game system and the tokenomic side of the system, how these assets are broken down. So to answer the question, sorry, right along with the way, the main gameplay segment of the game will start around after the public NFT, because games are very, very expensive, and there is there's a lot of people that are currently helping me in the background that are quite professionals within their industry. But you need obviously a lot of capital to hire them full time, because games are very expensive to make.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, games take a long time to make, right? So currently, how many developers do you have working on the game?
Well, currently for the main developers, we have me. We have a couple people that are helping me out, and then we also have another art studio that is a friend of mine. Zimi Studios. You can find their details on our Telegram page, and he's helping out with a lot of the character stuff. But so that is only a handful of people, but at the same time, it's about the quality of the people, not the quantity.
And how is it getting funded currently? So you had a seed round, right? That's what I heard. So is that
Exactly
what's funding the current game development?
Yeah, that's what's funding game development, and me putting all my savings in it, and also before the seed round. Actually, sorry, I should have gotten to this. The first person, the co-founder of this company, is actually my brother. A little bit of background about my brother: he's a banker for 9 years. He's very much in the financial world, and he was the first person to invest in the game to get it started. And then we did the seed round. And yeah, so the capital is the seed round, and basically the initial investment, which obviously was gone by the seed round, and then all of the money that I've put in, all my money. Well, not all, of course, but yeah.
How much was raised in the seed round?
The seed round was 250 BNB.
Good, 250 BNB. Can you share how much you put in also?
What, for the seed round? Oh, so you mean of my own personal funds?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, I've put anywhere between 20-30K of my own money,
okay,
but just spending it through. Not 30, more like 20 something, because it's pounds, not dollars.
250 BNB, you had a seed round, so then you're gonna have an NFT sale. What other sales or private sales are you gonna have?
So the NFT, depending on how well we do on the NFT sale, that's directly going to affect the company evaluation, because both, one, we have, how much the company's turned over, then we have the time period of how much we've increased that company revenue within this time, which will help us increase the company evaluation. So after the public seed round, then we might do a Series A or a Series B from a VC standpoint. But after that, we have the token. We're going to be doing the token launch, but again, the majority of the money of the token goes into liquidity. You can't really use anything more than like 10 or 15% for team or development.
Oh yeah, for sure. So currently you have the seed round. You're going to have, is the next one going to be the NFT sale?
Yeah, and the next one is the public NFT sale, which is hopefully at the end of July.
Okay, end of July. Can you give us numbers on that? Like how many NFTs? What's the price?
I can't give you exact numbers for the NFTs, but what I can say is it's probably going to be around 10,000 NFTs, maybe 50,000. It just depends on the size of the community that we build up, because I want to have a very organic growth in building the community and building the capital for the game. I don't want to be greedy. I don't want to overstretch. So yeah, we're looking at a mark for 10,000 NFTs, and then the price of the NFTs is going to severely vary. Maybe some of the highest one, maybe one ETH, 1.1 ETH. It just depends on the price of the ETH at the time. And then some of the NFTs are like 0.05 ETH. So it's each character. We have the 5 ranks with the rank evolution, and each one has 3 separate categories of variance. So those prices of NFTs will very much vary because of that, because you have 3 stages per rank.
Okay, so we get to pick what NFTs do you want. If you want to get the more expensive, the higher rarity ones, it's not just gonna be like random.
No. You pick. Yeah, all of them are going to be presented. All of them are going to be rendered from Unreal, and then on top of that, you're going to have on our website the characters page where you can click on it and see a lot more detail. You can read like the lore of this character, like oh, this guy is a dryad or an orc, or he's a mix between an elf and a dwarf. You know, like you get to really know the characters before and when you're picking them.
Okay, so basically to play the game, you need to have the character, which is you have to buy the NFT. And
Exactly, you need
what is the advantages of like the 0.05 ones, the level ones, or the common versus the expensive ones that 1 ETH or higher?
Yeah. So the utility value, like we described, is based on the rank. It basically dictates what you can and cannot interact with the game system, how the difficulties you can play, and the maps you can play. And then the variant, the visual aspect of it is again how. The two things: the cosmetic aspect of it, you know, how rare it is, how little variants of these ones there is, or even just a combination. How many variants within this specific character have this weapon? Never mind just this texturing of this weapon. And then on top of that, obviously, the higher NFTs, the higher ranking NFTs with the higher variants are going to take much longer to unlock through gameplay. So then, if you want to get a character with such high rank and high variant, once the game is out, you're going to have to pay a hefty price of whatever the player sets it at, or you're going to have to grind to get it.
Okay, so another thing that Corey brought up, which is that I was going to talk about, like with 10,000 NFTs, let's say, or even 50,000, isn't that going to limit the amount of players in the game? Because, you know, some multiplayer games, especially once they come out.
Oh, you know, no, this is just for the public sale. This is just how many NFTs are going to be out and the total amount of all variants in the public sale. The amount of variants and once the game is out is going to be much larger. Yeah, quite a bit larger. Maybe a character like a rank 2 character can have like 5 million variants per that character, and once all those 5 million variants are gone, you can never get like any version of this character. So the small supply at the moment is just for the public NFT sale, and that small supply is part of a much obviously biggest supply that equates into after the game is out. The reason we're doing such a small supply of sales, we're only selling 10,000 NFTs at the beginning, is because I want the majority of these NFTs, like 90% of these NFTs, everything past the rank 1 common, to be unlockable in game. I want the players to have to be able to grind it, unlock it, and then they can set their own price to sell them. So that's why the public sale is only 10,000 NFTs, or maybe 15,000.
Okay, so what's going to give the advantage to these public sale NFTs versus the ones that will be released later on? Like what, you know, you have like a million different variants. Like what's the difference between these first ones and like the later on ones?
Well, the first thing is, you know, the price, like mentioned, that when you buy them now is the only time you're going to be able to get them directly without grinding or paying a premium that a player has sent. And also these specific variants that are out now, you're not going to obviously be able to unlock them ever from game. And then they also have the whole legacy part of it, as in these are the first NFTs for Fleetwood that are released, and this combination of variants is never going to be the way that these variants are assembled together is never going to be seen again as well. So obviously you'll see more of this character, but again, higher premium price, and it doesn't have the legacy tag on it, with the fact that this is one of the first characters you get into. And also when the game is out, if you have a higher rank character, it means that you can play every aspect of the game. You don't have to try and grind to unlock all the different modes.
Okay. Yeah, because with NFTs, right, it's all about supply and demand, just like with tokens too. So normally when people buy NFTs because they want to make money on it, they want to flip it eventually, you know, like even like say 6 months later. It's like art, you know, a lot of collectors or investors buy art because they're not trying to lose money on it. They're not going to pay $5 million for a rare painting and, oh yeah, I'm going to sell it for $2.5 million, you know, 2 years later. No, like the reason why they're buying it most of the time is because eventually they want to sell it for a higher price, right? Same with
exactly,
NFTs.
But that's the collector, because there's two types of NFTs, right? There is collectible NFTs and there's utility NFTs.
Yeah, so these ones, the difference is going to be on just the collectability part of it. There's not going to be any utility differences between like these ones, other than like, you know, this legacy is going to have some unique variants. And by the way, these variants, is it just cosmetic, or is it going to be like a class system where like you could only get this type of class, and then after that you cannot get this anymore?
The class system is. Oh, go on, sorry.
Oh yeah. So basically, is there a class? Another thing is there a class system like the different warriors, for example, the different characters? Is it gonna have like different skill sets, different progressions? You know, kind of like because this game kind of reminds me of World of Warcraft. Like the graphics are very similar.
In a sense, yeah, it's a very it's a stylized, like kind of like a mid-poly feel to it. Obviously, higher quality than the WoW ones because it came out years ago. But that is kind of like the style I'm going for, like the stylized D&D aspect. But to get back to your question, so you have the utility aspect again, like I keep mentioning. The higher rank allows you to do all of this stuff, but I also get the question. Okay, we have the utility, and we also have the collectible aspect from it, from the variant. And what you're saying is, you know, if you the utility is not going to change from now to the game. This character is not going to give you more utility if you get it now than if you get it after when the game is out. And to a degree, you are correct because the utility is very much set in the character. But also, like, you're going to pay a much higher premium, and it's going to be much harder to get it once the game is out. So yes, you do have the you do have the collectible aspect to it, like you mentioned, because you got this really early on, and you're never going to see this specific variant. So okay, how do we build a variant? I guess if I explain that, it'll be better to understand the concept. You know, you have the variant, and then you have, let's just say, again, we go back to Bob, and Bob is he's of a class warrior, right? So he has a warrior, he has a set of armor, he has a shield maybe, and he has a sword. And then he has a bunch of equipment, like on his shoes, whatever, armor, and stuff on. That collection of those items, like that specific type of weapon, or that specific type of shoes, or that specific type of shoulder blades, because this is such a small supply of 10,000, there's like a finite amount of assets that can be put inside those variants. Later on, when there's other variants, they're not going to be using any of this equipment amalgamated into it. So these guys from the public sale are the only ones that are going to have that specific equipment, those specific properties that create the variant.
Oh, okay, all right. So yeah, the only thing is I'm thinking of. So you said later on when the game comes out, the NFTs will cost a lot more. Like you said, the first 10K you'll get for a certain price, and later on when you have the million different variants or one character, those will be harder to obtain, right? Is that what that's what you said?
Yeah. So if we put some context to it, right? You buy a rank 3 character with an epic variant skin, right? When the game is out, to get that rank 3 character, either the only way you're going to get it from is either someone like someone who bought it from the public sale is now trying to sell it if he's not renting it, and they're obviously going to they're going to charge a higher price, just like any other NFT. You got it there first. The project that the NFT is related to is active, has an active player base, and if you got one of the first ever variants that are unique, that you can only buy this amalgamation of equipment during that period, then obviously you're going to put a much higher price to it. I mean, that's just the nature of it. And secondly, if you buy it instead from someone else who grinded to get a rank 3 epic variant, obviously not the same equipment, doesn't look the same, but again, utility, rank 3, same those specific core metrics for the utility side, and from the variant side, it's an epic variant. That's still going to cost more than what you paid for it now, because that guy had to grind. Maybe it's not going to, the price that the market is going to define, sure, it's not going to be as expensive as the public sale variant that's completely, unique within sets, but it's still going to be pretty expensive because that guy had to play like a month to unlock that character, and he had to like complete achievements and get it. So he's going to be charging you for his time, essentially, of how that took him to get that character.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm just kind of trying to figure out, the system, because normally for NFTs, there's a value to them, and they go up in price. Let's say because there's only the 10,000, and that's it. Like the AYC ones. I mean, they're creating utilities on top of utilities, and the original, 10,000. Those are the most valuable, right? But that's because they're the only ones to give you that certain utility. And it's kind of like if you create more, or there's a limited supply after that's very similar, then it might kind of impact the price of the old ones, because it's almost like you have an unlimited supply. I mean, I understand like the fact that, yeah, these will be legacy, they're unique, but then I'm actually kind of thinking about like for example, like Binamon, you know, how they had the NFTs, they had the staking for the original NFTs, and they created a whole bunch of other like ones after that, like the there's the energy ones, they had the Z1 planets, all that stuff, and eventually the project was kind of dead to me because I mean I bought some NFTs, the original ones, and they're pretty good. You know, they're kind of like the one trying to copy Axie Infinity, I guess, and they did okay. I mean, they did many X's, but now it looks kind of dead because nothing could really replace like a game, like a good game, right? You could have all these promises, but if the gameplay sucks, then at the end of the day, no one's really going to play it.
Exactly. Yeah, you need the good gameplay. I completely agree. Because, like you're saying, if you don't have good gameplay, if you don't have a complex game system to stack the economy on top of, it just doesn't work. But back to your thing is because you keep using the word you're saying utility, but the definition that I'm using for utility here for the characters is very different than the definition of let's just say Axie, because we have a specific breed or a specific class. We're calling that utility, but that's not necessarily utility. That's a descriptor, and that's it's a specific type of class. And then the actual utility from it is how high those stats are. You know, and actually how much health your health is, and how much your damages and all of that. And specific classes have specific classes, if we want to call them, have higher of those points. And then you also have the purity of the breed. Except for with us, our utility isn't as directly connected. We have many different aspects that allow us to give us the utility, both from the gameplay style, a gameplay perspective of how them play, and then we also, like I said, we have the rank evolution, rank, and on all these different kind of utilities that are actual ecosystem utilities because they change how you interact with the system, not just how strong your character is. So a rank 3 is always going to be rarer, is going to be more expensive than a rank 2, right? A rank 3 common is always going to be, rank 3 rare is always going to be more expensive than a rank 3 common because it was, again, more time, harder to get. A rank 3 epic, even more expensive than a rank 3 rare because even more time to achieve it. So then when the initial 10,000 NFTs, they add to that value because you stack that on top, not after. You don't dilute it, you stack that on top because you have all these things I've just mentioned, and on top of that, because you bought from the public sale, you have another set of unique visual aspects and virtual effects because the epic, sorry, I should have mentioned it before, the epic variants also kind of affect like how your character looks in game. Like for example, if he has a sword slash effect, the particles that follow that sword slash will be maybe unique to that specific variant from the public sale, and they're never going to be seen again. So all the legacy of it doesn't take away, it just stacks on top of all of this actual utility because it affects how you interact with the ecosystem.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that's what I kind of figured. I mean, yeah. When I said utility, I didn't mean like, oh, there's going to be like staking or whatever. I meant like in the in-game utility. Yeah, like different unique features because you need to have some kind of reason to have those NFTs, right? For them to have value, you need to have some kind of reason for that.
Exactly, which is how they interact with the system. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. So, what about the token? When is that coming out?
Good question. So the token will be coming out. The token's time is not set in stone because, like I said, after the public NFT sale, depending if we do a raise and all of if we do a series, then that obviously is going to affect when that could affect when the token comes out too. However, the token will come out before the game. That's all I can say about now for the token release. It will come before the game, before the alpha more and also there'll be all the white paper and everything associated with it. So the token is further down the line. It's before the game release, but the exact time is still being discussed. It's still being worked on.
What would be the purpose of the token? Would it be mainly just for the play to earn part of this?
Everything you run. The NFTs will run on our own token because remember, you buy the NFT, let's just say now Polygon, and then the game is activated. You log in with the wallet that you bought the NFT to, or you made a new wallet, just move the NFT you have to that new wallet. You log in, it automatically sees that you have that NFT and it logs that character for you in game, and all of that stuff runs on our own token.
And will the token be like the in-game currency?
you can earn a bit of the token, but the trouble with like dishing out the token, it always ends up devaluing the token, or you just get too little token in reward. So instead of directly giving out the token, you have different stuff like the hero variants, and we haven't talked about. I didn't talk about the builder and the harvester because we focused a lot on the economical side of it more than the gameplay side. But you have your builder and your harvester, which are two other characters that you need to play the PVE aspect. So you can unlock can unlock some of those, some different variants of that, different towers, different crafting equipment, and all of those things run on the token. So we give a lot of different kind of rewards that you can do many things with, either just sell, craft, or whatever, as opposed to just directly giving out the token.
So how does the play to earn actually work?
No, you sell a lot of these assets that you get. You sell them on the auction house, and as long as there is an active player base, there will be a market for people that want these characters, these assets.
Okay, so like when you say assets, do you mean just the NFTs, the characters, or do you also mean like in-game items like loot and all that?
I mean NFT characters and also like loot. Like for example, if you want to construct a specific type of tower, you need these kind of like that kind of elements to actually make or construct that tower. Or like you collect essences for specific variants. So there's gonna be a lot of different things that you earn. Your primary big rewards are obviously the different characters that you get, but we're not just going to be like, okay, there will be a character reward when you win the match, like a chance to get some essence for this character or this builder or this hero. You're also going to get some crafting material and all of these things. So very, very similar, just basically how you would in a normal game. The only difference is that these assets run on the token.
Okay, so you're gonna have like an in-game auction house, something like that, and you'll be able to use the tokens to buy these in-game assets or sell them.
Exactly.
Okay, so the token will be like the currency, the in-game currency.
Exactly, the token is the in-game currency.
I didn't want to pitch in, but I think Angel, you heard the question wrong, because they asked is the token the in-game currency.
Oh, I am so sorry. Yeah, that's my bad. I'm sorry.
I didn't want to interrupt. I was like, oh, I'll let him explain.
Okay, yeah. So I kind of get the big picture. So the NFTs are going to be like your characters, and when you level up and all that, the NFTs will also have that data, right? So when you sell your NFT, they're going to get that character.
Exactly.
So basically, the NFTs is like a save file, or it would be like a character in World of Warcraft that you could just sell to someone, like your account login, basically your account, your character would be
exactly. Yeah, that's
NFT, okay.
Exactly, that's a very good way to mention. Like, so it's like, you have a level 80 hunter on the in World of Warcraft, and imagine if you can sell the hunter on top of all the crafting material as well, or like you're playing League of Legends or PUBG or Fortnite, and you have all these skins for your character. What if you can sell them back to the community as well? So yeah.
Yeah, and the play to earn, like the whole token part of it, that's kind of like selling gold in WoW, right? Like you grind, you sell, you kill all the mobs, you collect gold, you sell it, which is of course illegal in WoW, but this is all different here,
Yeah, exactly. You go grinding. Like the main, the main things that people need at the moment. Like for example, let's just say that we've just released some sugar, because the characters that we release, they are full-fledged characters. So that this new character is coming out now, like a badass dual wielder, and this character has been announced, and we know that the new character is dropping at this time. This is, of course, we're in a hypothetical. The game is already out. So all these people are like, oh, I want to try this character, and this character works with best these kind of towers and this kind of defense. Okay, so let me start grinding and starting to get some of this equipment. And if you're already someone that's already grinded that and you can just study the market. You can study what's going on in the world. The game is going to have its own complete full-fledged market like you would in World of Warcraft. It's not like the current. That's why I keep saying it's not like the current NFT games. It really is just a game that is bringing the best from crypto, as opposed to being a crypto project trying to put a game in it.
All right. Yeah, I mean, honestly, we see a lot of games, especially in these AMAs, and I think since we started AMAs and how many games we had on here, I don't think there's a single game yet that's really
a game
finished or a game.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. either finished a game, like half of them probably ended up like scamming, or like I don't even follow them too much. Like the history after like a couple months. Half of them ended up like
Exactly.
either scamming or rugging, or like they make some kind of excuse that they don't have a game at all. They're just like, oh, they make some kind of video from Fiverr and like, hey guys, we have a game. We're trying to collect 5,000 B&Bs.
Yeah, or they do like CGI renders of the characters, and then the game comes out, right? And this is why one of the reasons I've not used any fake rate, any footage I use, I pull directly out of the game, because I want people to know that what you're seeing is what you're going to see in the game. It's not going to be like, oh, this is a really cool render of the character, and then and then the game comes out and it's just like I forgot what these things are called. Like one of these looking guys, or like a Cubics kind of looking guy, or a freaking Minecraft character popping out of here, or 2003 Nintendo 3DS looking character.
Yeah, exactly. Or they just use like free assets on Unreal Engine, and like I think it was the Survive NFT. Like that's the one. They wanted like 10,000 B&Bs, like 5,000, something crazy like that. I think they're rugged.
Jesus.
Honestly. And then there's another one we had. Like they wanted like 40 million. I think at the time we had the AMA, they supposedly only had like 10 million raised, which I didn't believe either. Like I want to see the number. I want to see the actual wallet.
But how do you have 10 million and fail to make a game? You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
And that's one of the actually. To be honest, when we just move away from the crypto world for a second, when I reflect back some of my previous experience, you'll be surprised how often in the games world and in the enterprise world, you see people who are in like a very high positions, like technical director or CTO. Well, CTO, technical director is the same thing, or chief technical officer, CTO. But anyway, you get the point. Like they're at the highest managerial position for the technical side. Ain't got no technical side. They ain't coded. They don't know what's going on. They're just like, okay, is this done? And they rely on someone else's competence to tell them if something is good or not. And I'm seeing this in a lot of crypto as well. Like a lot of these game projects come out, and then the devs are not devs themselves, and they're hiring a dev team, right? And the biggest red flag for me when I see is when they hire a dev team, that's a crypto game dev team. A crypto game is existing in like what is it now? Like 12 months or 16 months? If we go further back for Axie, maybe 2 years.
Really stretch it. 0 months.
Because so what is a crypto game dev? You don't need a crypto game dev, you need a game dev. And if you're not a game dev yourself, then you cannot judge the technological scope of the project. You can't really know all this requirements. So I see a lot of these projects that overpromise and all this kind of thing. And this is why I'm doing like small NFT launches. This is why when we did the seed round, we did the seed round only inside Mr. Shill's FMC. We didn't tell a bloody soul about Fleetwood because I want to do it one step at a time. When I'm taking people's money and putting them inside game development, I want to make sure that I've done that step correctly, that I'm ready for the next step. Not, oh, this is just a promise. Like right now we're teasing the characters. We got the new website up. I'm building the pipeline. I've got a friend of mine who I can't say which company he works with, and this is what I mean with like the people in the industry who already have this experience, who's helping me build this entire backend system, and it's working. So it's going to be working so much quicker than the rest of these because sure, it's crypto, but utilizing Kubernetes. We're using Docker as well if you need it. Well, it's either Kubernetes or Docker, but anyway, we're spinning up our own virtual machines. We're doing our own tractions, and then when it comes to exporting the NFT out, I don't get someone else to do it. I build my own damn I build my own. I got a little bit heated up. I build my own rendering server and all of this kind of stuff to get everything going. And speaking of previews, the characters that you see on the website are actually the characters that are coming out now are far more detailed, right? Because at the beginning of the stage, I had no capital. I had a capital I put in now to do all this legal stuff as well to get the company set up. So we did these characters really quickly. It was just me doing them, getting what I need, cobbling together, writing some scripts, fixing stuff up, or getting like specific some assets and then putting whatever. Anyway, now that we have the money from the seed round, I have a very, very good artist, and please, check out his Instagram afterwards. It's on the Telegram. He's spectacular. And we even have some teasers now. So I've released a sword for one of the rank 2 characters. And that sword within itself is already more detailed than any of the characters I've released so far. Like we're not cutting any corners. And right now, as we're speaking, he's actually messaging me about the rigging. But so I forgot my main point, but I got a little bit more passion than to the point there.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, so there's some discussion in chat about the token coming out and the game. So is
Mhm.
there, how early on or how early prior to the game would you say you would have your token out? Like half a year, a
Um,
couple months?
Honestly, any answer I give will be a pure speculation and it'll be subject to change. And I don't. That's why I don't like giving information out, because when I say something's going to be done on a specific date, like it's when the NFTs are going to drop, this is when the website's going to drop, this is when this. I want to be on point. I don't want to. I don't want to give like a month or anything like that, or and not be there. You know, I want to be 100% sure before I make
Yeah.
any public
Because
announcements.
I would actually recommend to not release the token until right up until the game is released. Because if
Yeah,
you wait too long, especially in VC space or in crypto space, people don't really wait around here. You know, all these like investors, all these pump and dumpers, or there's not
yeah,
really that
exactly. And
many actual investors, right? So especially, well, if you're gonna go with VCs and all that, that's fine. But at that point, you don't really need these guys in BSC,
well,
unless it's maybe just strictly just for
liquidity to
marketing,
play the game.
liquidity, and actually to get the marketing out. But yeah, one thing is these projects that launch that have a game coming out, that promise, over promise, whatever, and then like a year later, maybe the game comes out. Look at the chart. You know, most of them are gonna probably dump like 90% below pre-sale
Exactly.
before the game comes
And
out. So I would say, like, especially if you want to grow it, you want to get investors, and not
yeah,
have FUD. Don't take too long, because people are gonna lose their patience and they're gonna probably start dumping, and it's gonna be FUD that you have to deal with. And it's harder to get real investors in after like it
hmm
dumps, for
after a
example,
dump, yeah, yeah,
especially after it dumps below pre-sale, like or significantly below pre-sale, because investors are going to be like, well, the community lost hope, they lost faith, so it's like, why should I invest? And there are charts, there are games that or companies that take a while, take maybe a year or two, and
hmm
they skyrocket and all that. But the thing is, you also don't want your investors to lose faith. You don't want them to be unhappy. You want, especially the early ones, you want to you want them to be successful, right? You want them to be happy. And the thing is, if people are making money, or at least on paper, like their value of tokens is higher than they put in, they have a higher chance of actually supporting you and being happy and holding, right? But if they're all disgruntled because, let's say, devs are overpromised, under-deliver, and then everyone's dumping, then they're gonna cause a lot of FUD. They're gonna sell the tokens, a lot of negativity, right? So that's why I would say I recommend to try to keep the token as close as possible to the release date.
yeah. No, I'm really glad you brought that up to be honest, because I didn't want to say the same thing, but yeah, it's very true. Like especially when you're talking about a game ecosystem, right? The entire token works within the circulation of this ecosystem. Yeah, you want to release it closer to it, because the volatility, the activity of the token is directly impacted by the player base. But it is a very good point, and it's something I have thought about a lot about. And I do, if the token is is quite a bit of time before the game release, I have a couple of solutions to that. But again, that all depends on some other things that are coming down the line. So all I would say is, yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. And if you do indeed release it early, you need a pretty goddamn good solution. But as you, I like
Yeah,
those.
or you just need like nonstop marketing until the game is released, or else it's gonna die,
Yeah.
and then people are gonna like sell, and
Or non-stop
you're
footage.
gonna lose
Yeah.
you're gonna lose all your early investors. Yeah. All right.
Exactly.
So also the issue with the seed round, right? So these guys are gonna be waiting a long time, because they're gonna be getting tokens, right?
They got a special. They got specific NFTs. So they have a set of NFTs that are they got the highest ranking characters at a very good price, and they got a lot of characters. And not only that, they're completely branded, all those characters, and that branding is never gonna not. So, like we were talking about, the set of 10,000, and what if you broke it down and you took even 10 times more? So we're talking about this branding for these characters, and this specific set for these characters, and these specific weapons, and maybe even some special abilities on them. They're going to be 0.00000, like bunch of zeros, one of the supply on a per character basis.
Okay, so they're basically, they got the best NFTs, or like the rarest, most. Okay, so that's cool. Because I was kind
the
of worried
best
about
of everything,
that,
basically.
they actually get the NFTs. It's not the tokens. Okay, that's actually a better, because
So in the game, when you come across a Mr. Shields character, branded character, stay away.
What if I
I'm
want to
sure,
get
I'm not
those
sure
NFTs?
balancing can apply to them. Just saying, you know. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, can you make some anti-ruggers United ones too, branded?
Yeah. Sure. I
Hey,
mean,
we got the
we could.
theme.
I'm
Our
sure we
theme
could
is
work
like
something
nice and
out.
shit. I mean, like
Nice and shit.
we have a 300 video on YouTube.
I saw that actually. It made me laugh, and I started watching the scammer gets destroyed, but unfortunately, I just got pulled too much into my work. But it was getting interesting.
Oh yeah, that video is great. Yeah. It's
No,
like
but,
a project. It's like a learning experience for projects that have like what not to do. You know, I think every
exactly.
scammer, if they actually watch that video, they'll probably be a lot better at scamming. So it's like almost like I don't know if I want to teach scammers how to scam. You know.
It was definitely entertaining. That's one of the reasons I was actually looking forward to this to this AMA, because I knew I was going to get a little bit, you know, I was going to get questioned deeply, and I knew it was going to be asked a lot of questions. A lot of the points have been iterating, especially with, you know, I know I talk for a very long time, and it's just very hard to.
That was his strategy, man. Your strategy was to talk so much that there's no questions for us, huh?
Hey,
I'm just kidding.
working with Angel for 7 months. This time he really condensed everything in a nutshell. So normally
We
when
skipped
we
a couple
talk,
by accident. I was a little bit nervous.
Listened 6 hours of Angel talking, then I give some comments, and then he just starts again. But because obviously the man knows what
it's
he's
okay.
talking about.
Yeah, we had a lot longer AMAs. I think our record was like 4 hours.
Jeez. Okay, that's good. That makes me feel better. That does make me feel better.
Yeah. Okay. So the timeline is the game is going to come out in roughly a year or so. You know, sometime during 2023. And so right now, I take it's a very early, very very early. Probably like a couple % of the game is done, or maybe just enough for like the little videos you guys have, right? You have the idea still. You don't. Yeah, go ahead.
Kind of yes and no, right? Because it's built of many components, and I think that's like one of the key things for creating a successful game is that you identify and segment the components that you need to build on top of. So we on top of obviously building the game, we're also building all the ecosystem around it first. So this is what we're kind of focusing at the moment. Like if we look at from the game perspective, we're focusing at the heart right now. We're focusing of how these characters are going to work, how optimal is it, how much stuff can we put in there, like all these crazy ideas that we have, limit testing every idea that we have. Okay, I have this idea, cool. This good idea, this bad idea, bam, scratch it off or give it a tick depending on what I can do. And then obviously that's for the experimental phase, and then and for the actual foundation that stays in the heart, that's the character pipeline, the construction of them. How do we make sure that all of these characters can stay efficient and share a lot of technical aspects without actually sharing visual aspects or in it? So I will not rug you. And that's being developed. We have the NFT tracking. But to answer your question, it's just different parts of the game are being developed. So different components of it. Some are like at 90%, some are 60%. But the actual core game the actual core gameplay aspect of it, comes after the public stage, because I need to hire a lot of people, man. I need to hire, most importantly, a QA team, and I need a lot of people in QA. Like the speed at which I do stuff and the mistakes that get left behind sometimes. You know, you need a lot of people testing stuff and making sure this is good, this is bad, or go home, you're drunk. You know.
Yeah, actually, that's my next question. So, like, what is the actual gameplay like? Like, what is it going to involve?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that, because I was kind of ashamed to circle back to it, because it was one of the very massive bullet point on my presentation I missed. Okay, so and if I missed something, you got me thinking if I've missed something because I've gone off my rail. So the gameplay, it's how do I describe it? Okay, so there's many different types. There's like I said, there's many different modes. You know, there's PvE, there's PvP, and there's the creation mode. If I jump in all of them, it's going to be a little bit hard. So let's just focus on PvE. So let's paint a picture. In PvE,
explain what kind of a game it is, because if
that's what I'm about to do, right? So it's a player. If we focus on the player versus environment aspect, right? You enter that game and you have a set people on your team. How many people you have on your team depends on the difficulty in the map and which map you're playing. Maybe you have 3 people, maybe you have 5 people on your team. When you're in the game, you have to do the game loop as follows. You have your hero, you have your builder, you have your harvester. Your builder creates constructions such as different towers, and at this point you think it's a tower defense game, but not just yet. You have the different structures and towers and defense things that you build using the builder. Your harvester is out there harvesting. I mean, the name is self-explanatory, right? He's harvesting stuff. He's harvesting secondary resource. The type of harvester and type of resource you're going to collect is going to depend if you're a sci-fi faction or you're a fantasy faction. Because I've always wanted to mingle, to mix the both things together, like having some really cool sci-fi characters that enter the dimension of fantasy characters, and it's a really tricky thing to pull off art style wise. But again, Max, beautiful. I mean, the studio we've partnered up with, and my friend Max, amazing artist. Anyhow, you have your harvesters collecting, you have your builders building. Then you have the enemies that are coming in, and you have to defend those enemies. But unlike tower defense games, right? Your towers are there primarily to help you out with the different type of hero you have. So now you have the picture of the base. You have your towers. You're imagining some towers. You have some defensive structures too, and then you have your hero. Now, what type of class hero you're playing will also depend on what kind of towers you're going to build. Before we get to the enemy type. So if you're playing like a range type if you're playing like if you're playing a character with very maybe low damage but very fast output, or single target attack, all these kind of different things will affect what kind of tower you build. Do you build a tower that does a lot of damage but shoots slowly? Do you build a tower that slows enemies? Do you build a tower that debuffs enemies? Do you build a tower that does splash damage? Do you build a tower that shoots slow if you're like kind of slow but stuns enemies? It all depends on your character's gameplay style. There's layer upon layer on that. After that, you have a bunch of enemies coming in, different types of enemies, and I don't just mean elemental, different, like you have divine enemies, immune enemies, air enemies, this kind of thing, and the order of which they come through is mixed up and dependent on the map you're playing. Now, for the actual, so now we've set the scene. How do you play? How do you control your character and all of that? Imagine, have you guys probably actually a recent game that I played that really reminds me of how Fleetwood's camera is going to be is actually a game called V Rising. But if you look at like these kind of games where the camera is top down, but not exactly like bang on top down, but we're talking about a slight vertical. So Diablo, you have Diablo, you have V Rising, you have League, you have Heroes of the Storm, all that kind of camera angle. Except you don't right click to move. You use WSD to move. It's a very fast paced game. You do have abilities still that you can click, but it's more so about pulling off the fast paces, pulling off the dodges, getting out the way, doing your combos with the mouse button. So it's a very fast paced kind of gameplay, and you use your character to defend. And then we get a little bit more complicated. Then on top of these enemies and different enemy types, we have bosses and mini bosses in the PvE. And the main distinction there is, so your harvester that I mentioned, your harvester can be killed. Some enemies are dumb. They will just walk and they'll just attack your main wall, your main structure or whatever. And they'll just be like, the freaking goobers, fodder. And they'll just walk at the wall, and then you get to just smash them up. And then if you get really close to them, you pull their aggro, but you still just smash them up. Then you're going to have different kind of enemies. That some enemies go directly for your harvester, and you have to protect them. And then you enter the territory of bosses and mini bosses, where not only do you have to fight the mini boss, not only they are susceptible to different kind of things. So you have to weaken them even through abilities or structures to try and do damage to them. And there's a big team play element there. But these bosses, when you're dodging these attacks, it doesn't matter if you dodge out the way or if you use like some kind of a defensive maneuver or a parry maneuver, it's going to affect the environment. So if you're dodging it, you got to make sure you don't dodge it somewhere in your area or near your harvester. You got to make sure you don't dodge it you don't dodge into one of your friendly structures, because when that boss throws that projectile, if it hits any of the structures or any of your people, they're dead. So you gotta make sure that you stay alive. You gotta make sure that you kite them away. You gotta make sure that you team play. You gotta make sure that you're keeping an eye on where your stuff is and it's not getting damaged in the process.
Is that it, or?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So it's like a tower defense game where you build towers, but you also control your character.
Exactly. You have the tower aspect to it. You have the action RPG aspect to it. You have the RTS aspect to it, and then you have the fast-paced movement aspect to it. So you're not just right-clicking and moving. And all this kind of stuff. So it really doesn't have a genre at the moment. It's kind of like an amalgamation of all these kind of genres, because I thought, well, it's just basically the game I've always wanted to make. It's a game that actually never existed as officially a genre, but if you play some of the older Warcraft 3 stuff, you'll see some inspirations there. Obviously,
Yeah, I actually have
upgraded
a
to a
solution
whole.
for you guys because someone was asking
Right.
about farming. What's to stop Philippines and all those countries from creating like sweatshops or farming centers? Here's what I said. So make it into like a StarCraft plus WoW raids plus Fortnite all in one, and at the same time, it's going to require 1,000 APM, so that way no farmers will be able to accomplish that. They'll be sweating bullets. There, boom, done. Solution.
Yeah, I mean even if they, to be honest, if they try it with their individual skill level being low and then really having to grind it, they're gonna have to get good at the game. So it's like if a game like Heroes of the Storm or like PUBG, if we put crypto in there, the people in the Korean service and all of that. I mean, in competitive gaming, they're the best. Like,
Yeah, as long as it's competitive, right? Farming doesn't matter because you could like farm and like gain like small percentages because you didn't really get that far, and you actually need the skills to. So is it going to be like an infinite type of survival mode, or is it just going to be like level based? Like, okay, this is like this mission, or you got to survive like 50 waves or whatever, and they're going to go.
Wow, a bit of both. So each map is different. The enemy types are going to be different. The difficulty of those other enemy types is going to be different. What you can and cannot build is different. And on top of that, we're just talking about the PvE aspect here, right? I haven't talked about the PvP aspect and how that works, or how we're going to have the ability to, do versus and ranked and do custom betting against people. So like you can bet someone like make a custom match and be like, all right, I'm going to put this much down, to fight you. And this isn't part of the official. This is just you making a custom lobby between you two guys. So to answer your question for the PvE, each map is different and the difficulty for each map is different. But also on top of that, a lot of that gets randomized. So nothing ever feels the same. Like, for example, I know a completely different game. Let's just say Deep Road Galactica. You might start the same mission, but the everything, the layout and the type of enemies and the order of which these enemies are going to spawn in is going to change.
Okay, all right, cool. And then you're going to have a PvP. Is that going to be like tower versus tower, or like
no? It's completely different. No, there's no bases in PvP. It's completely different. PvP is surrounding more around, well, there might be some bases, but it's not really going to be about base defense. PvP is going to be a lot more hectic, and the map's going to be a lot bigger. And I haven't talked about much about PvP either, because I kind of wanted to do like a separate segment for that on its own at some point. But PvP is going to play completely different, and PvP is, because with PvE you have that team play aspect of it. You have that planning, working with your team aspect. With PvP, your team play is going to be a lot less important than your individual gameplay. And the reason I say that is because I used to play a lot of League, right? And it's incredibly frustrating when you have you have one goddamn dude that's just feeding his butthole, and then it doesn't matter that doesn't matter you have 10 kills because this guy fed 20 kills, right? And because you're restricted in this little map where you just go from point A to point B, that team aspect. Oh, that looks so good. Sorry, that cake. Damn. The PvP aspect is going to be very different, and it's not going to focus on team as much as PvE.
Okay, so it'll be like team-based PvP, kind of like an arena mode.
The PvP a lot less team-based. It's going to be more about what you do as an individual, and when you do something well as an individual, you can boost some of your team along the way.
Oh, okay. Can you make it so you drop all your tokens when you die?
Well, if I made a roguelike game, it's not going to survive for very long. Some dude is just going to smash up his monitor.
I want to farm all the noobs, damn it.
Well, trust me. All right, let me say this about PvP. Okay, when you start the game, you hit him with a spell, he hits you with a spell. They're roughly gonna do around the same damage, depending on if you're a mage and you've hit him with a really powerful spell. I mean, he's just a tank and he's trying to stun you. All right, it's balanced. It's within the normal realms. If you do your PvP really bloody well, right? If you just grind and do all the stuff, you go after the objectives. I'm going to say objectives because I don't want to give too much away. If you go after the correct objectives correctly, And you just, from skill and from just doing well in that match, by the end of that match, you can go over and you can just fucking destroy their entire environment with a single blast. All right, the power scaling is going to be Dragon Ball Z style power scaling. All right, so.
But wouldn't that make the gameplay like for the people that are the weaker side? Wouldn't that make it frustrating because one guy can just kill everyone?
Balancing, remember? You start all with the same kind of same base stats. You start at the same floor level. The only reason that you're going to be able to go to here while he's still here is because you play well inside that game loop. But when that game loop starts, you're here, like you're next to each other.
Oh, so every game is okay. So just like a MOBA where you get fed more kills, you become stronger. Where you kill the whole team.
Yeah, like a MOBA or a battleground. Yeah, because you have to get some battlegrounds when you kill them, you get extra weapons. Blah blah blah. Anyway, but yeah, it's a closed loop. Fight to the death, many deaths actually, and there's going to be a really cool revive mechanic there too. But anyway, I don't want to give too much away for that one.
All right, awesome. So, do you guys have like a goal in mind for like the fundraising? Because you got the 250 BNB, and you're gonna have the 10,000 NFTs. You're gonna have the tokens. Is there like a number you need for like? Because you also mentioned venture capitalists, and what do you think you're gonna need?
Well. I do have the number, but I also don't want to say it pretty early because it doesn't really matter if I say it because when it's all in crypto, you'll be able to see how much NFTs I sold, how much I've raised, but significantly more than the seed round. Let's put it that way. And if all the NFTs sell out. And this is one of the main reasons, we're doing these AMAs. We're not trying to get people to buy in right now. We're trying to just build a community. And then once we launch these characters and once they understand the game, they know the potential of the game. And then they see these characters and they see what I've already talked about in AMAs coming to life. Then they can, decide to buy these NFTs. But in this hypothetical scenario where we build a good community, a large community, and we get the public sale, then if all of those sell out, they will open a lot of VC doors. And I already have a couple of VCs that are looking at it. I've had some other VCs kind of approach, but I'm not taking on any VCs at this point because I'm not giving away control over the planning. I've seen that happen when way too many times where you get too many investors at the beginning and one pulls left, one pulls right, another one's pulling the other way. And because you're at such an early stage and you didn't have much weight that you can put behind your ambition, you're kind of at the mercy of their will. So yeah, if we sell everything out in the public sale, like I think we will achieve if we build our community and because of the quality of these NFTs and characters, then yeah, that opens. We would have more than enough. Let's put it that way.
And another thing I want to ask, since you guys are an LLC and you're all doxed. Is there any legal hurdles you have to deal with? Well, because you have the game, you have all these paid or real money, type of assets you have to buy, and then maybe in the US is a little bit more, but I feel in the UK probably there's issues with that too.
Oh, it's a pain in the butt.
NFTs and earning and crypto and all that together.
Yeah, it's a pain in the butt, right? The first 2 months when I was setting up this company, so like from September to like freaking November, the amount of honestly, I spent 2 months just doing legislations, like getting this approved, getting this account, and making obviously because we did the seed round, I had to make a crypto exchange with my entity registered, not me, not Angel, Fleetwood Games. I had to make that. I had to get that on Binance, get that approved through SEPA, get all these traction so everything can be traced through the company officials. Yeah, there's a lot of hurdles. But I think we've nipped them all in the butt and have a plan for all of them. But yeah, man, pain.
Oh yeah. Okay, cool. Honestly, so. Another thing is for the NFT sale that's coming out, is there going to be like a special pricing, like whitelist spots? Because normally, how you have like the NFTs and the way they build the community would be like, the first or 2,000 members or the first, you get like whitelist spots, and that kind of gets the community to work themselves to invite people to kind of grow it, to shill, because they could get like, let's say, for 0.1 Ethereum instead of 0.3, so like if you have 2,000 NFTs, it's like 0.1, and then the public sale is going to be at 0.3. So those white spots, they're instantly profitable, but there's not that many of them to where like they're not going to just all dump in the beginning and like try to take their 2-3x. So but it gives people an incentive to work their ass off, shield their bags in a way. So are you gonna have something like that going on?
Yes. So not exactly, but yes. In a function, yes, but when it's not really a white spot. So, like we talked about, there is many reasons why these public sales of the NFTs are much more valuable. Are going to be much more valuable once the game is out, and then obviously we have the FMC people who get even more value out of it. So the FMC got the most value. The people now who join the public sale get all that value that we've described from buying it now. But for that extra perk, right, getting those people to really pull it all in on chilling and really pull in everything that they can, push everything into the projects. They want to get even more benefits than the quite large benefits they're going to get now. And yes, we do. We're going to have a reward system. I'm still planning that reward system out. I have the rough idea of it, but it's going to be a multi-tiered reward system, so you get different rewards for different kind of behaviors and things that you do, and those rewards at the end will obviously give you an extra benefit. I'm not gonna say that's a discount or a white sale, but effectively it's gonna serve the same function. However, the details of that will probably be announced either this week or next week, because I just have to make sure there's no way to cheat it, right? So let's just say, for example, we do like if you're very active in the chat, I gotta make sure you're not spending writing 5 words and then sending a message and just waiting for the timer to run out and then send another word. I need to have a correct way of an efficient way of aggregating that data so then it can be ranked automatically or done automatically. So to your question, not really going to use, not really a whitelist, but yes, in utility, yes, and it's just being planned at the moment to make sure it cannot be abused.
Okay, all right. I have one more question, and
Go.
After that, we could open up to the community for any questions, and then we'll be doing the giveaways later on. So your website is still, I mean, we're still very early on, right? This is like the beginning. You guys don't have a white paper yet for the token. Even in the NFTs, I don't really see like actual previews of the NFTs themselves.
There's the NFTs that are already out that are on open sea for the for the Fleet FMC members, but the preview that you're seeing on the website with some of these characters are just, like I said, some of the in-game characters directly from Engine. But when the NFTs release, that's when we're gonna do all of those characters and release the character page on the website with more detail. But up to that point, because I know you're trying to get to, like how do we know what it's going to look like? Is it going to look like these ones? Is it going to look better? I've already released a teaser, and we'll be releasing more teasers for characters as we get up to it, because I really want to reveal the new characters with a bang. Like I want to, I'm just giving little sneak peeks of the difference in quality. Like, I have a weapon out there. Go check it out in the group after. But there's going to be sneak peeks, and then it'll drop all at once.
Okay. All right. And so I was trying to find information publicly about your company. Someone said to just Google Fleetwood Games Ltd. So all this registration info is public, right now.
You can go on it, and then you'll see me, Angel Petkov, and all of that. The UK is Company House for the thing. That's our regulating body.
Okay, all right. Is this the 61 Bridge Street? Is that the
61 Bridge Street? No, it should be Fleetwood 61 Bridge Street, because I changed the address recently. 1 second. There is another Fleetwood Games. I just want to make sure. It's the one that says Angel Petkov, and it's just 61 Bridge Street. It's just with Bridge Street, there's multiple companies at Bridge Street. That's why I had to just double check.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Awesome. So now we can open to the community for any questions, guys.
Fantastic.
Who got some questions?
Yeah, I saw the 70 messages in there. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't read everything.
It was not questions. I read them through all.
Okay.
Through them all. Just some babbling.
Anyone got questions? Okay.
This happens quite a lot, because Angel, he describes everything so deep, and there's usually not very much questions left.
Yeah, same thing here. Like I usually ask pretty much all the questions. I don't know if anyone really has anything else. A lot of times.
We want to say something. Hi, guys.
Oh, hey.
Let's go,
Hey,
man.
Ariel.
Hey,
I just
man.
want to say that Angel and Ragnarok, you guys look really cool and nice and sharp.
Thank you, mate.
They're
Thank
not
you.
ruggers. I ran them through my rug test scanner, and they haven't rugged anyone yet. I went through the Interpol database. Nope, they're not showing
Yeah.
up. So
And
And
Elias basically knows
I,
where I live
I
and
told you that I told you that these two are cool guys.
yeah, they're
thanks,
not
man.
showing up at Interpol, so we're good.
yeah, and also I just wanted to add, yeah, Robert, if you go on Company House, you can find the thing. No one is saying you can't ask the question. It's just when you look on whatever company, you don't see linked to Company House. It's up to you to do your own due diligence and check the facts and check the company name. So that's the only reason someone didn't send a link, because it's just a 2-click Google search.
All right, cool. Any more questions, guys? All right, let's do this. Let's do the final conclusion so you guys could give your statement. I'll end the recording, and then after that, we'll be doing the giveaway for the YouTube videos and all that. So, everyone can still hang out over here, participate in the giveaways. And if you guys want to hang out, maybe we could just chat a little bit, and if anyone has any questions. But for now, since it's been already almost 2 hours, we could end the recording. So you guys want to do your statement, just final statement, or what? And then after that, we'll end it, and then we'll go just kind of do the giveaway and make it more casual.
Yeah, sure thing. Village, I know I had the original statement, the one I used in the last AMA that I thought was really good, but my brain is drawn a blank for the exact one. But all right, I guess for the final statement, Fleetwood is going to be a game that is truly a game. It's going to have a clear progression system, and it's going to be a project that prioritizes the player. And it's not going to be a money grab, and it's not going to be a game that you just play and for a couple of days and you lose it. It's going to be a project with real ambition and executed by people who are veterans in the industry, and also it's going to be for the players and prioritizing them.
Yeah, from my part, of course, I'm not tech savvy that way. Of course, I have had the pleasure of watching very closely the development. Like I said yesterday, I watched him and his friend do some rigging in real time, which was absolutely fun. We made an orc dance and tried to teach him to fly. But
spoilers, Villa, spoilers.
From Fleetwood side, this as a gamer's perspective, this is going to be fun to play. I'm personally going to be investing a lot of time and money into this, and every day, like me and Angel, we play games also together when we have the time, and constantly talk about how to make the game even more enjoyable. So I think this is the first time ever that anybody is developing a crypto game from the actual gamer's perspective, like it actually being fun while being lucrative. So yeah, I guess that's that. I'm looking forward a lot.
I mean, you guys, all 250 BNVs was from your group, right?
It was my group. I have my own private founding members club. It's 202 people, I think, at this point, if I remember correctly from the top of my head. Each one of these individuals had to go through an interview with me to get into the group after holding my token for 30 days. And even if they passed the interview, they still have to hold. And that's why I'm pretty much one of the only persons in this space that can say I truly have a group of diamond hands, because we have data backing it up. We track their wallets.
You're not the only one here, because we also have a diamond hands over here. And
do you watch their wallets?
Yes, we actually have a token that we launched, our first nano cap, and it went as high as 70x, and 30 out of 60 private sale guys, even though they're up 70x, still holding, not a single sell.
Oh.
Very.
Yeah. So that's very new.
Yeah. No, it's already 2 months old. Yeah, it's a couple months old.
Oh, kind of funny. I haven't.
Congratulations.
Yeah, man, actually, right now, thank you. And then right now is actually the good time. We'll talk about this later after the recording. But I'll tell you why right now is actually the perfect time to start investing into it again. Because it's one of those tokens that never dies. I mean, I challenge you to go find me an NanoCap that started off with like 4 BNB liquidity and still around after 2 months.
Yeah.
That is rare.
We can talk about that when the.
Yeah, we can talk about it later. Yeah. Cool. Sounds good, guys.
Nice.
Okay, everyone.
Healthy chart, by the way. Healthy chart.
Yeah. Let's talk about that after, because I don't want to keep it on the recording. But okay, so guys, everyone, please join the group and show some support. And this is honestly, it's a really cool project. I like that, and the fact that you're actually doing the NFTs first, not just a token, and like a year later going to have a game. And that's why I recommend it. Don't release the tokens too early, because if you do, most likely it's gonna not end up well for the token. And you don't want to lose your supporters, especially the ones from the beginning. So that's the biggest thing. But other than that, honestly, great project. And everyone, please join over there. And I'm gonna end the recording right now. And everyone, good luck. And we'll definitely be participating in NFTs. Hopefully, you make a special one for Anti-Ruggers badge too. Because we actually, like I said, we have our own little theme going here, like knights and Spartans, things like that. So that's pretty cool. Maybe make a character for us, one of the classes.
Yeah, maybe a variation. Yeah, anti-ruggers. Just special move when the boss comes in, just pull the feet under, pull the rug under the feet.
Special move would be like they come behind them, basically special move would be like a rug pull, they lay a trap, it's like a rug, and then the guy and then just eat him, and it stuns him for 5 seconds. Then you come in and score.
That's a I'm gonna lie.
All right, awesome, guys. Let's end the recording, and we'll continue on with the giveaway after. All right, man. See you guys, and thanks for coming here. Great AMA, and recording ending 4, 5, 3, 7, 1.